All right, well, I'm going to make this as short and sweet as I can. We got a lot to unpack in this video as far as this season and going forward. So we, are going to be starting up. I don't know if we're going to stick with doing the whole Outdoorsman Collective podcast or starting a video podcast with HuntNorthEast going forward and releasing probably 1 to 2 episodes a month. Depends on how the season's going, off season, how busy we are and whatnot. But we're looking at doing a podcast, like I said, on video and releasing that on the channel as well as Spotify. And I don't want to unpack too much in this video, as much as I'm probably going to anyways, because the first podcast episode is going to be based around going forward with HuntNorthEast and kind of a season recap for the 2024 deer season. So aside from that, I want to start with how our deer season went this year. Expanded archery, firearms, whether it be muzzleloader, shotgun, rifle, what have you. So I myself hunted, expanded, archery, and statewide in Maine right up till the end of muzzleloader. I also hunted New Hampshire, not too hard with my bow, but come muzzleloader and rifle I did. Hunter went out with his bow 3 times total, shot a doe, and we have footage of that. Joe did everything that I did. Hunter also hunted rifle, muzzleloader, he hunted New Hampshire, Maine. But long story short, we all shot does. I shot mine during the statewide Maine season. I had passed a ton of deer, which you'll see the video clips of. Finally, I shot I believe she was 112 pounds. Shot a big doe that didn't have a fawn with her. I was actually walking in and I had bumped her and the ground was so loud. I'm like, there's no way that I'm going to see and shoot a deer, with how the conditions are. My release was in my bag. I'm like, no chance. So I start going up the hill, I look over, and there she is, standing there 20 yards. And I'm like, well, if I can get everything ready to go and draw back and, let an arrow go, I'll shoot her. I'll fill my doe tag and put some meat in the freezer and then continue to, buck hunt the rest of the season. So anyway, shot her, got that done. Hunter helped recover that one. That was a statewide. Hunter shot an expanded doe, and Joe shot an expanded doe. And then later in the season, not on video, Joe had shot a buck. I don't remember if it was a 4 or 5 or a 6-pointer. But yeah, he had shot a buck with his 308, and that was his first buck in the state of Maine. So that was Joe's first milestone. Joe shot plenty of deer, but that was his first Maine buck. So we get some footage of that, but we do an encounters video every year, and besides these kills, we have a lot of encounters on here, or at least I do, where I passed bucks nonstop. Now I saw a lot of deer that I was targeting, older class bucks, bigger racked bucks, but most of my sightings, my early seasons are usually very good, so most of my sightings are from beginning of September, when expanded starts, to about the end of the third week of October. Second and third week of October are my favorite points of the year to hunt. So I had seen tons of big bucks. Just couldn't get close enough. We had a really windy bow season. Not trying to make excuses. I mean, I could have tried and got aggressive, but I figured, hey, where I was at, figured once rifle season started, it would happen, and pretty much everything got tons and tons and tons of pressure. Most of those deer vacated, and completely. I mean, they do. especially in heavy pressure. But I had cameras out there in that spot that I got in my mind right now for the rest of the season, right up until I'd say a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And all of gun season, I had one 8-pointer come through, little basket 8. So on to kind of just a blanket statement for the rest of our season. We just couldn't seem to get on bucks we wanted to shoot the rest of the season. So a lot of the YouTube platform, social media platform with deer hunting lately, it's all around shooting big bucks and how you're managing your properties, and people are really pushing their way of doing things. It's kind of creating a false narrative to anybody that is just your average hunter in their own state doing their own things, where half of the stuff that people are preaching doesn't apply. And everybody has their own standards, and people are trying so hard to meet those standards that everybody else has. I just saw a post this morning. This guy shot a buck second to last day, I believe, a muzzleloader, and his caption said, "Not the one I wanted, but I got one." Well, if it's not the one you wanted, then why'd you shoot it? And the only reason he's saying not the one I wanted is because he's worried about what other people think. People need to stop doing that. I didn't fill a buck tag last year in Maine or New Hampshire. I did in Mass. And I didn't fill a buck tag in Maine or New Hampshire this year. I could have filled a buck tag both years in both states, but I don't need to shoot a small buck to tell somebody that I punched a buck tag. I'm going to shoot what makes me happy, and that's me. So you guys need to do what makes you happy and stop worrying about who's going to say what on Facebook, who's doing what on YouTube, and how you need to compare to it. It is insanely frustrating to see. I like the story, hunting a specific deer or a couple specific deer. I was after 4 different deer in one piece of woods this year and had a sighting with one opening day, had a sighting with that same deer and another one of the bucks I was targeting a few weeks later, had encounters with a buck I've been hunting for a long time. It just never came together. But you know what? That just builds that suspense up to if and when it finally happens, and that's what I enjoy. Nobody else has to like to hunt that way. So we're just kind of tired of all that, We don't want to cater to that ideology or fall into that. So we don't want people that subscribe to us and follow us to be under the impression that we're those guys that are going to go out and just keep, crushing on big bucks and have content all the time and this, that, and the other, and just keep pumping stuff out, because we can't promise that. I mean, we all have full-time careers. I own a business, Hunter owns a business. Dave's in California working right now, so Dave didn't even hunt this year. And Joe's an engineer for SIG, so he's busy. By the time he gets out, half his season after daylight hours is junk, because by the time he gets out of work. But we do this as a hobby, and we're not trying to live up to anyone's standards. And I've said that in previous videos. This was as a hobby from day one. We appreciate all of our followers, of course, and we love filming the stuff. We love being able to watch it back. But on that note, I carry a ton of camera equipment every year. Love filming my hunts, love being able to watch them back, especially when I'm getting jacked up for the season. If I can just lay in bed and watch my successful hunts and the boys, and just, the double sits me and Joe do, and watching Hunter get all jacked up, that 8-pointer he shot, that stuff just gets me fired up for the season and gives me the fire I need to get out and go. So it's never really been about who thinks what, who leaves what for a comment, or who's watching us, no offense, but we just kind of want to reground and focus on getting back to our passion, which ultimately is deer hunting. And the filming aspect of it has taken away a lot of the, I guess, peace, you could say, when we're out in the woods. trying to enjoy what we love to do. So for me, it's very, very mentally and physically taxing carrying camera equipment in and out. It makes my setup times longer, my teardown times longer, which ultimately takes away time from my family with me. Waking up screaming early in the morning to give myself enough time to be able to do that. Kind of, as tight as I can get my pack and how streamlined I have everything now, it's still a big deal to be lugging all that through some of the woods I hunt. Huge elevation gains and things of that nature, but just got to be a lot. So we were talking about it this year, and we're going to start going forward. We're all going to run our GoPros. This big camera I'm filming this video with right now, and the big camera arm and this, that, and the other that adds 15 pounds to my pack, if not more. That stuff's staying home. I'm going to bring a GoPro that's going to be twisted around a branch on a tree, aiming in the direction the deer is, and we'll get a couple mods for the GoPro, but it'll be streamlined, slide right in the pack next to my Predator platform, and same with the guys. And we'll get what we can for hunting footage and still put videos together of our hunts. But everyone's doing that, and we don't really care to be doing what everyone's doing. So we're still going to do it for our own enjoyment and to bring it to you guys. But it's not really about the high quality kill shot and this, that, and the other. It's more of just, us doing what we love to do. We loved doing the camp renovation, and there's more of that coming for those of you that subscribed once you saw the camp videos. We got a lot more to do at camp, so we're going to do some exterior, another off building that's going to have conduit ran to it with power and a whole setup for shower, bathroom, sink, what have you, potable water tanks. We still got to do a little woodwork on the exterior, repaint, stain, paint the whole exterior. Talking with my dad, he's like, you should really put a deck on the front of that. So we're going to tear that staircase off and put just put kind of like a platform deck off the front, a place that we can put the cook stove, because I don't want to be cooking inside that place stinking it up. I'd rather just cook outside. I like being outside anyways, and keep the mess out there, grease and whatnot. Place to put your boots instead of clogging up the door inside. So we're going to do a deck. We got to stain the exterior. A couple more things to do with furniture and whatnot. Finish up that other bed, couch, a few odds and ends. I'd like to buy a big like wildlife themed, cabin themed area rug for inside. And then I'm going to go actually up under the camp in between the floor joists and put 2-inch foam up in there just for some extra insulation on the feet, because that floor does get a little cold. But we still got a lot of yard work to do. There's a lot to do. So we're going to have some camp videos coming out, but with cold weather, we're kind of limited, holidays and whatnot. Me and Hunter both plow, so snow. We'll have more camp videos coming out. And then the big transition, the biggest transition I would say for Hunt Northeast is we have talked with, hunted with, and followed people that hunt all over the world, all over the country. And still, I stand by it that New England is a world of its own. We've hunted Maine, New Hampshire, Mass, as far as like the New England states go. My father's been to New York. Some other friends have been in New York. Got some buddies in New York that hunt, that travel as well. We've been to Ohio. We're talking about doing some other states. We don't want to get too involved in that yet until we make a plan. But we're big whitetail guys, and we are going to branch out and do some other stuff. But what I'm taking away from this and what I want to put out, and what the guys we talked about and want to put out, is there's really, everyone in New England seems to have their specific way of doing things, or they tag along to someone else's specific way of doing things. You got trackers, the still hunters, the tree stand hunters, the guys that do drives, and kind of everyone has their own process, but there's a few of them that are put on a pedestal as far as how and why they do things. And people try to cling to that and do everything they're doing. So we kind of want to put out what we've learned over our collective hunting experiences from growing up doing this stuff, coming from families that hunt to now, what we've learned and what we've wrote off as this is what they used to believe in the past. This is too old school. It's completely irrelevant at this point. What's going forward, the best information that we can put out on what works for us and why. Now, yes, we're going to be kind of biased to New England, but that's our goal. We don't want to be talking on something we don't know. And a lot of guys do that. For example, we were talking the other night, guys that say, oh, you got to have a tree stand X amount of yards downwind of doe bedding. Great. You have a manicured farm that you've done timber stand improvement on. You have pretty much manufactured your doe bedding areas and made it so that that's about the only place they can go to bed. You've manufactured your funnels other than the terrain features that you didn't change, but you could have cut trees and blocked off some terrain features. Anyways, you get these guys on ultra managed farms that are talking about hunting downwind of doe bedding areas during the rut and this, that, and the other. And I'm here to tell you right now that your average guy hunting public land like we do, even when there's pressure, they will bed anywhere. Does will literally bed anywhere. You will drive yourself crazy trying to unlock that puzzle that somebody else in a completely different situation has now put out there on the internet for you to try to not be mind boggled by. And you're like, oh, I got to find the doe bedding area and hunt downwind of it. Well, you could be hunting in a completely useless place because you're on public land where none of the terrain has been managed, and them does could be bedded 800 yards away one night, 30 yards away the next, 400 yards away the next, and it goes on. I have had does in front of cameras where I've ran cameras for 10 years, bed there for one night, never bed there again in a 10-year window. So, and I've also hung them on suspected doe bedding areas that they use 3 times a year that are textbook perfect areas for a deer to lay. So it's just things like that. We want to put out the best information we can to help guys in New England that are learning, not necessarily, seasoned hunters, but guys in New England that are learning, or even seasoned hunters that say they're onto something here. They figured this out and I could see how that could apply to me. So we want to put out some good information with the Hunt Northeast YouTube channel. Podcasts, we got some guests that I've already talked to that are going to come on, and they hunt different areas, different features, whatnot, and we're going to kind of just hash it out in a conversation. Just have a talk and see what key points are picked up on, what's going to help certain people, what things are alike. I have a buddy of mine, which he's been on the Outdoorsman Collective podcast with us before. Travis, the one that we go to McDonald's with. Travis, the one that we go to Nantucket with. I always got McDonald's on the brain. But, so Travis McDonald, he hunts New Hampshire. He's from New Hampshire, and he has really good rut seasons, November seasons. And I primarily hunt Maine, and I have really good early seasons. So we want to have a conversation about that because we have polar opposite seasons as far as like our personal success. And we want to see, kind of compare each other's thoughts and tactics and see why that is and how we could help each other. So that's something that, that we're going to build the podcast around and the channel around, is really good information, really good conversations around how and why you can be more successful hunting and how to weed out all the BS that's out there today. But I just want to put this information out there without boring you guys too much. So, side note, Joe was the only one out of the 3 of us that hunted this year to shoot a buck. I shot at the biggest buck I've ever seen in Maine, up north, tracked him, got to within 18 yards, stood up out of his bed, and first jump, there was brush there, but it was the only opening with no big trees. Put my crosshairs there, he jumped into it, shot, bullet got ate up by brush, Went to cycle the action on my gun, bolt action, and my bolt release was frozen in the open position. So when I did, I just always kind of do the slap, and then same thing forward on my bolt. And when I slapped up, slapped back, my bolt came out, went right over my shoulder into like, anywhere between 10 and 16 inches of powder. It kind of varied up there in the mountains, but it took me a while to find my bolt, and I'm watching the deer run off down an old skid road that's wide open, dead away from me, and I'm just watching him, and I'm going, dead, dead, dead. In the meantime, I can't shoot. So, yeah, that was a bummer. Started carrying one of my pumps the rest of the season. So, rough season, but fun season. Learned a lot. Had a great time. Had a lot of really good encounters. Just be patient with us. As far as the YouTube channel goes, it's very hard to edit and put out videos during our peak season. Me and Hunter are both in the landscaping industry. So it's very hard when we're working sun up to sundown, and we both have 2 kids at home. So when you're home, it's time to put all the equipment away, spend time with family, get some food in you finally, and get some rest and be ready for the next day. And then weekends are usually chewed up by whether it's out scouting, running cameras, spending time with family. There's always something to do. Going away for the weekend in the summer, going to camp. There's just a lot to do. And then fall, we're rolling into fall cleanups while trying to juggle hunting season. And we can't just necessarily pump out, hunting videos and content during hunting season, because we are strapped. Completely strapped during hunting season. We're just tapped right out and have no room for anything else. So winter time, when all we're doing is really plowing, maintenance, paperwork, it's our time to crack down and do these videos. Next year, Dave should be back and hunting with us again, and I will go in extensively in the first conversation on the podcast. I will go into what is coming for 2025 as far as the season goes. We will be filming. The tactics we'll be using to film, you guys have probably seen a lot of guys do on YouTube, but it's going to make sense for a lot of what we're doing. And our tactics and how we're going to hunt has pretty much spun a 180, because I just went on a tear this fall and decided, you know what, I'm out of here. I'm out of southern Maine, and I found some areas that are real good hunting. I was into deer all over the place. Never ran into any other hunters. Really broke down how the deer were using the terrain I was in, and figured out a good way to capitalize on it, I feel like, for the most part. So next year we're gonna give it a real good go, and I think a lot of our issues, we've always hunted around pressure, but a lot of our issues this season were just, there's such an uptick in hunters in southern Maine since COVID, and the pressure was unreal, and it seems like whenever we're there, the deer aren't. Whenever we're not there, the deer are. But more times than not, when I go, I'd say 90% of my sits, I just had somebody, last hour, a daylight drive under me on a wheeler in the middle of the woods, which was random. Someone on an e-bike boondocking through the woods looking for a hunting spot because they only got 30 minutes to hunt. I get it, it's all you got for time, but you ain't gonna do it from an e-bike. Get your e-bike down the trail, lock it up, go in on foot, and go hunt for that last 30 minutes. Don't be bouncing around the woods on an e-bike. Just things like that. I had a lot of guys, walk in on me at 7:30 in the morning, walk in front of me with 45 minutes of shooting left, and then just hang out 50 yards from me. They know I'm there, and they're just standing against a tree looking around and peeking at me to see what I'm doing. It's like, dude, I'm in a tree. But we're just so over that big time. And when we started finding these places we can hunt where there's no other hunting pressure, it doesn't mean there's not going to be next year, but let's just say the terrain we were in was so rugged, your average bobo is not going in there. But we're going to do it to get away from your average bobo and to get in where, these big elusive bucks are. And that's what we enjoy hunting. We fill the freezer with, lone does early season. and put the meat there where it's got to be, and then we spend the rest of the season enjoying hunting the way we want to hunt, whether it's a basket 8-pointer or it's a 150-inch deer. We do what we want to do, and that's that, and that's how we're going to run it. Like I said, we're going to film with GoPros, and we will still, on double sets, we'll still bring the big camera, where, you know, we can have a guy with the climbing gear and then a guy with the camera gear, as far as splitting the weight up. But yeah, I'll wrap this part of it up, me sitting here flapping, and I'm real excited for the 2025 season and what we bring out throughout 2025. We'll also be shooting up to camp here either before or after Christmas, most likely after Christmas. And that's probably where we're going to film that first podcast episode and get it out. So we'll get that second bed in up there. We're going to spend a night up there, go around, drive some roads, look to kind of see where the where the pockets of deer are, mark some on the map just for future reference, place to start. We got to learn it. We haven't been up there deer hunting up around my camp, so we got to learn it and figure it out. We're just going to spend a trip doing that, maybe bring some ice fishing gear, maybe some jig rods or whatnot, see if we can get out on some ice. But we're excited for the future of Hunt Northeast and to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So sorry for my rant, but things are going to look a lot different here from here on out. And I hope you stick with us, and we appreciate all you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed this season recap.
Season opener. September 7th. Maine expanded. Feels real good to be back in a tree. I was climbing up earlier. Had a doe about 60 yards. She kind of bounded a couple of times and didn't really know what was up, but I think she caught my movement. So I'm hoping she comes back around or brings her friends. Feels real good to be in a tree though. Alright, well, I waited her out a little bit. I'm gonna get down from the tree, go get on my arrow, and go look for blood. I'm pretty sure I heard her crash, so we'll see. We'll see what the blood looks like. So I just got to the base of the tree, took my saddle off, and put my climbing stick in my platform next to it. Got my bow, and I'm gonna go look for some blood. Show you how far away the shot was. I was in this tree right here. Just thought I just heard another one. And you just kind of see my illuminated knock over here. Oh, that's in the ground pretty good. Just got a good amount of blood right here. And I look up, and right there, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little white belly right there. So let's go check her out. Not bad. Hey guys, it's opening day of expanded archery here in Maine. I'm all set up for the afternoon. It's like 2:30 right now. I'm in this spot that's got a lot of deer activity going to some apple trees in behind me. So wind's not the best today, but we got in here pretty quiet. We're all set up and settled in for the afternoon. So stay tuned. Hopefully we get a good video of something coming in tonight. So we'll see. Matt. First one of expanded opening day. Me and Joey are on the board. Joey just shot one like 2 hours ago. We got about half hour left illegal, and we got another one on the ground, all on film. Stay tuned.
Well, 61 degrees out. Super crunchy. And I just drilled one at 20 yards on the walk in. I'm right on this path here. Actually, me and Steve cut this path working this summer. She was standing right in there. I had a real small shooting window, but I drew back. I actually had time. I jumped her. I heard her boot a little bit, and I kept going up the trail. And I looked over and I seen a body. And I'm like, well, if I can get an arrow knocked, I got a tag for it. Might as well knock the jitters out. So, drew back, made sure I had enough of a flight path, and she was 1/4 a little bit. So I put it pretty much right on her shoulder, and sent a mega meat. And from what I could tell, it looks like I got through both shoulders, into one, kind of, maybe towards the back of the offside. But it hit her hard, and I only heard her run like 30 yards, but I'm gonna go take a peek. I'll film it. 20 yards from the ground on crunchy ground, anything can happen. So let's go see what's going on over here. I'm just gonna go check for blood and see what it looks like. Alright, well, it looks worse than it is. I hit a window through all that crap, and I hit her right here. She wheeled around, and that's her first jump right there. Look at the friggin', look at the blood in this piece of woods. Oh my God. That's a mega meat.
I ain't ever seen something like that before. She ain't far, not a chance. She is spraying.
Oh yeah, I got so much out, dude. Yeah, I know. Wow.
No good deed goes unpunished, huh?
No. It's my nice jeans too.
There we go.
I'm not dragging that. I drug it in.
You want to carry that, dude?
Yeah.
Okay.